You wanna say something new before I leave?
These shells you seek, they're more than mere flesh. Their stories hold truth. An answer to the great question.
He talks in this entire place, by the way.
Perhaps.
Anywhere we go. Right, so I'm not gonna touch this game again here. Probably this demo part of this game I'm not gonna touch again. This was the only experience I'm gonna have with it. So, good things. Actually, you know what? It's easier, I think, to talk about the bad things, because there's... I think the overwhelming majority of what this game has in it is mostly positive, but the negative things are so severe at times that it's hard to see the positive. So, let's not talk about the weapon first. Okay, so... Or the performance of the game, that's another thing also. What would be like the worst thing, actually? I think the way that the camera works in combat... I mean, there's two different cameras. There's the immersive camera and then there's the action camera. I chose the immersive camera because that's what the game is designed for. So I figured that it'd be fine. But I suppose my complaints with the camera could actually be alleviated if I chose to use the action camera instead of the immersive camera. I now realize that, because I forgot that there's actually a setting for it. But this game is designed with the immersive camera on mind, so or in mind. It's like Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers has that action camera, or that immersive camera that game calls it, where the camera is, you know, a bit different angle than the normal angle of like being on a normal third person behind the player character, because that one is less, well, it's less immersive to use that camera. So, in that game, Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers' immersive camera was totally good, whereas this game's is actually distracting. Because when you're dashing around, when you're parrying an enemy's attack, or when you block an enemy's attack, or if you get hit by an enemy's attack, the camera, like, does these very fast, like, movements back and forth, and it's hard to immediately focus on whatever you are hitting or is hitting you when these adjustments happen. But then again, I mean, they can adjust this, but I could have alleviated possibly this part of the frustration by just using the action camera. Because I would imagine that using the normal, like, third-person action camera that is inside the settings here. So, I think I can actually probably just show it here. So it's in these normal game settings. And there is the... Let me see, it shouldn't be too hard to find. Camera style. Action. So if I use this camera angle right here, this action camera, I bet a lot of this frustration could possibly be improved. However, there is one other issue that happens when the camera angle is this far away. Parrying is more difficult when the camera is this far away, because it's harder to focus on the exact moment and position on an enemy's attack is in when the camera is further away. Example, when I was playing Stellar Blade for the first time on the PS5, Stellar Blade's default camera range is actually a hair too far away from me for that game's parry system. So the very first thing that I did when I was playing Stellar Blade even on the PS5 back in the day, and what I did on the PC too, is I actually zoomed in the camera like 10% from where it normally is or so that I can more easily see past Eve on the side when you're parrying, and see the enemy's like swing arc more easily. So it makes parrying easier when you're using a camera that is more immersed like in the action. And it's doing this. Yeah, see, it's this again. I'm not pressing any button. Like, why does it behave like this? It's so fucking... Like, this is so fucking annoying, this fucking game, that it fucking does this. Just fucking stop. Just fucking stop. Please stop. Please, it's still moving by itself. Please stop. It's so exhausting. What do I need to press for this to go away? Oh my fucking god. It is so ass. Yeah, they need to fix that super fucking badly. They need to immediately fix that. That is so fucking annoying. But anyway, to the fucking point I was saying. I didn't even do anything. It just randomly started to do that before I fucking did anything. Fucking didn't even need the menu. But yeah. this game is supposed to be designed for this camera, and that's why the parry and the dodge... Well, not the dodge mechanic is not like... There's no, like, perfect dodge in this game. As of right now, there's not. But parry mechanic, and you're able to see also the enemy's attack more clearly when the camera's more zoomed in, and it's more this immersive camera. So, it should be designed in a way where it's not distracting or more difficult to pay attention to what enemy swings are when you're using this camera angle. But it actually is more difficult. That was like a big pain point. And then some other pain points. I guess I have to talk about this. This fucking basic weapon you start the game with, this fucking greatsword, is one of the most annoying weapons I have used in any game. It's like... Its swing arc on the thrust is like... It doesn't go awfully far for a thrust attack that is very slow, but it does do hefty damage. It does not hit very well sideways at all, as you might imagine. Its follow-up attacks come out very slowly, and this last blunt attack with the weapon is hardly ever useful. Like, I would rather cancel the chain almost and just continue doing the normal thrust, instead of doing thrust into the pummel on the enemy. Like, it will stagger stronger enemies. That's the only reason that it's actually useful. Other than that, I would rather have the first two thrust attacks on repeat, rather than to do that finisher attack on this chain. And then when it comes to the light attacks on this weapon, the light attacks do not cover good enough horizontal range where if you're fighting a small group of enemies, you can easily hit all of them with the swing. It's difficult when there's even like two enemies on your screen coming from about the same direction and you use the swing. The first two attacks, they are like diagonal like this both ways, but I mean, you can manually aim it quite nicely, so the stat at least. But then the third attack on the chain, which you usually do need to kill even like weaker enemies, is actually a vertical attack that does not have any horizontal range on it. So it's this like overhead, like smack is the last attack. And it comes out slower than the first two light attacks do. So not only do you have like two enemies barely living usually, even if you aim the attacks perfectly, but the game basically punishes you even if you hit the first two attack perfectly on the two enemies on your screen by having the last attack on the light attack chain be a vertical slash that is only gonna hit basically one of them. So you can either cancel the chain or commit to the attack, kill one of the enemies maybe while taking damage from both of them at the same time, or the other one who lives, for example. And then there's the run attacks. You have a running light and a running heavy attack. Both of them hit only a very shallow, like vertical line on an enemy in this axis. So you can do like a heavy run attack or you can do a light running attack. Both of them serve the exact same purpose. The only difference with the two attacks is that if the enemy has helmet or if the enemy does not have any leg armor, it might be better to use the auto attack to hit the enemy in the spot where it doesn't have armor. That is like the only thing that I can see between the two that makes sense. Other than that, I would much rather have one of those attacks be, say, an attack that seizes the enemy more, for example, throws them in the air or smacks them on the ground as a running attack, or I would rather have a horizontal swing on the run attack so that I can at least choose to hit several enemies easily at once instead of hitting like just one or maybe two if they are exactly stacked on top of each other. Oh, holy shit, dude, this fucking weapon pissed me off so fucking much. It sucked almost single-handedly the most amount of joy from this playtest of this game here. Just this fucking weapon. Terrible. So what is the one thing I didn't talk about yet? Performance. I think that's another pretty big thing. It's not that the game runs hard. Like, I'm used to seeing Unreal Engine games run hard. I think the frame pacing of this game is actually surprisingly fine. So it's actually good on that aspect. Where it's really terrible is, like, remember that, like, I mean, there's kind of wild swings in performance sometimes, right? And there was that one burning tree enemy. Remember that guy? When you go inside that arena to fight him, the fucking tree that I died to like several times earlier on this cycle here, you lose so much like performance when you're just even nearby him. And that is with like, you know, ray tracing turned off. Like I was still losing like a good bit of like 20 or 15% performance just by being nearby that. And that when you go from like 60 something FPS to like low 50s or like late 40s or something momentarily, that is noticeably like bad, you know? Like if that was like on PS5, for example, it might very likely drop out of even the VRR range when the drop is like that massive, you know? So even on the PS5 you're gonna feel that with dynamic resolution scaling and all that. So that has to be addressed, probably. And that was a less severe part. I mean, I could also talk about like the visuals on like the reflections, but I'm not. There's so many counters of these games that have like very noisy or very pixelated reflections, even when ray tracing is used. So like, I'm not gonna bother talking about that. Like, this was a less like frustrating point of this game, this like technological thing. Like, it was mostly like passable. So, you know, it's not like a big scrutinizing point. But the first two, about this weapon and the immersive camera not working anywhere nearby as well as it should be, those were like the two very big things in combination with each other that just made this experience more frustrating than actually enjoyable. So, is there anything else bad that comes to mind immediately? Oh yeah, the level design. That actually is bad enough that it's actually worth saying, I think. I feel like the levels in this game, like, when you reach certain points, the game really does love to, like, teleport you or use an elevator or to, like, entirely, like, transition you from one area to another area, and the continuity between the different areas and the branching paths is hard to notice. It's kind of, it makes it hard to feel like grounded in this game's world, because it keeps like teleporting you from one point to another, like when you get to certain thresholds. So it makes the exploration feeling and the interest of picking up loot and discovering things less interesting when its like transition system feels so cheap and like kind of like unpalpable or like intangible, I guess, you know? It's hard to like, you know, situate yourself in where you exactly are, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I think that level design is something that they probably should maybe work on, but then again, that was like basically like the opening section of the game. Like that section of the game to like getting to where we are now was basically like, if we take Lords of the Fallen 2023 and we go from the start of the game from the tutorial to Skyborn Bridge or Skyrest Bridge, that's basically what we just played in like the world of the game. We basically just did the very basic early start. We did the first area and then we got like to the hub of the game. So like, I'm gonna give the game some slack with the level design. I feel like the reason as to why the level design maybe was partially the way that it was because it was still introducing us to like the game, you know? So I'm sure that the later parts of the games as like exploration are tied down more grounded, I suppose, so that you can actually situate yourself in your surroundings and feel more connection to like what you're doing inside the game. You know, when you go from point A to point B, rather than there be like a random teleport or portal that teleports you from one point to another, and you know, it's just so like, it's a problem in continuity, yeah. But yeah, is there anything else bad I want to say? Because most of the things, once again, are good. Most of the things that this game does are actually good. And those things I don't mention because humans are neurologically wired to remember the negative things over the positive things, because it helps and still helps in our survival. It's a psychological thing. You always remember the negative things first over the positive things. Even if there are 1,000 positive things and just a few negative things, you will always remember the negative things over the positive things first. It's just natural, it's just what it is. So when I do say all of this, like, do like keep that in mind. Most of the things in this game I actually liked a lot. The like atmosphere, the music, the heaviness and the weight of the attacks when they hit enemies are really awesome in this game. The mutilation mechanics on the enemies when you kill them are very, amazing looking. The gore in this game, the body horror elements in this game, the voice acting in this game, the voice actors themselves in this game are very, like, compelling to listen to, and, you know, the characters look interesting. The enemy designs are actually outstanding, to be honest, so far. Like, the amount of, like, creativity that they have with these designs on these enemies is actually really amazing. So, those are just a few, like, positive things that I could immediately come up with right now. So, although I did say a lot of negative things, I will always remember those negative things every time I think of this game first over any of the positives. So, that's why it matters a lot. But yeah, I think when the full game comes out, I will likely play it. Oh, wait, did it bug again? It did this. Yeah, they have to fix this. Or maybe if I put, like, Steam input on the game from the controller, it might also fix it, but, like, come on now, devs. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Anyways, when the full game does come out, I will likely play this. I think, like, you can get over these negative things with, like, few things. Like, I can make the immersive camera work more by just having the performance be more stable in the game if I, like, hone, like, the game's, like, optimization further and, like, lock the FPS, for example. That can make it easier to see the enemy's attacks and not be as discombobulated when the camera keeps bobbing in and out, like, here and there. Or I can use the action camera to alleviate the experience entirely and maybe, like, use a mod that zooms in the action camera a bit so that it feels a bit more immersive, but not as, like, dizzying as, like, the immersive camera does. I can simply progress the game further to have a different weapon so that I don't have to use this fucking annoying ass greatsword. Like, this game has most of these things you can fix in this game. I can see a way that you can fix most of my complaints. So, mostly positive, and I will likely play this game when it comes out because of those reasons. However, I'm afraid to play Mortal Shell 1, although the game is pretty short apparently to my understanding. So Mortal Shell 1 is more like a demo in comparison to the scale of this game. So, I think regardless of how annoying or how one-tone the first Mortal Shell is, I will be playing that game, regardless of how, you know, if it takes 1 or 2 or 3 sessions or however long I play that game. I will play that game first, and then I will play this game, when eventually I do get this game in my backlog, so... But yeah, those are my thoughts of this, so yeah, I can leave now.